how does it feel? Let's say, so you've been doing a lot of face-to-face gigs, like huge gigs. So how does it feel to sort of get into a digital space now with the same probably sort of gigs? How does it feel for you? Was it easy to convert, let's say, to pivot into that direction?
I was doing this 15, 20 years ago. I created it, just as social media started, I created a show called Turbocharge Your Brand TV. And I interviewed Brian Tracy, Jack Canfield, all the big stars that came to Dubai. I interviewed them. And nobody else did. So I bring my camcorder on a tripod, and nobody had phones at those times with cameras on. So I got the lion's share of all the interviews. And so I got used to doing this, but I was too far ahead of the game. There was no real podcast world. Yeah. There's no little TV show. So I did it. I put it on Facebook, and it was great. But I ran to 2 seasons. I got it sponsored heavily, but I got bored. I mean, if you're running on your own, then what's the point in doing it after you've done it 2 seasons? You go, right, I'm done. Thanks. Cheers. Gone. And so getting back into it was relatively easy. What happened was within the first 2 or 3 days of the lockdown, myself and my dear friend Ernesto Verdugo, who's based in Texas, in Houston, Texas, we've run a lot of events for speakers, speaker training, speaker tours, all the rest of it. We said, right, what are we going to do? Because we were scared. The world is scared. And we'd never faced anything like this. So we said, why don't we do a show? He'd got some software that allowed me and him to go live across the world from our laptops. So we said, let's do a show. And we came up with the name The Toilet Paper Diaries, because at the time, people were fighting over toilet paper. Don't know why, we called it Toilet Paper Diaries. And so we went live every single day for an hour for 50 days on the trot. Every day. And we evolved from, let's just say, how are you, to actually producing what speakers should be doing and the best way to drive sales online and interviewing people and all sorts. We had guests on the show, and we became really well known in the speaker industry just for doing that show. And we ran, for 2 years I've been doing shows all the way through. I only stopped when my dad passed, and I will be starting them up again because I couldn't really find the enthusiasm for doing it, but I'm back again. And so the idea of going virtual really fascinated me, because I really believe that every single person and every single organization should treat themselves like a broadcasting house. It should be media. We shouldn't just be doing social media. We should be media. So if you start off by doing a TV show, you take the audio, you turn it into a podcast. You take the podcast and a video, you chop it up into little clips you can use on social media. You can get a transcript that becomes your blog post.
Yeah.
And then you can drive your following. And if you do the stuff on a certain subject, that can become an online course. So the whole thing is an ecosystem built into it when it's done properly. And that's why I share with all my clients who are doing the Industry Icon program with me, that your expertise is bankable. Now, the big change is people don't want to buy a course that's videos. They just don't. What they want to have is they want to have it done with them or for them. Because courses are everywhere. Information's easy. You can go on YouTube. Everyone's courses on there. And so there's a slight change in the wind with that. But still, it's a brilliant business model. And your clients now, because the world is flat, effectively, could be anywhere in the world. And I love that. I think it's fascinating.
Amazing. So let's just, I wanted to ask you about, so I know you're absolutely a great storyteller, and we probably have witnessed it now too. Can storytelling help a brand, let's say, because we want to be valuable for the brands as well, and how can a personal storytelling be integrated into, let's say, a brand message? Just to talk a little bit more about marketing and corporate marketing, etc. So I know you're working with executives. I know you've been coaching executives to do great keynote speeches. How can a personal brand of a leader help to strengthen a brand message? So any ideas, any thoughts on that? Absolutely.
The bottom line on why storytelling is so effective is that facts and figures are dull, and you can lie and make them up, and they don't tick boxes in your heart that makes you go, oh, I want to work with you because you're super successful and you managed to get a huge turnover last year. Just, okay, I can work in it like that, but not fascinating. But what happens is if you look at a brain scan, a CAT scan of what goes on in the brain and the bits that light up, if you're telling somebody facts and figures in a meeting and why people should work with you, then about 2 areas will light up. You tell people a story and about 7 different areas light up. Because when we were kids, we were taught fairy stories of fairy tales and bedtime stories. And what we do is they get you to really, I mean, even now you remember them because of the fact that it woke up different parts of you. You got emotionally involved. You learned life lessons all the way through. And so you can even quote the stuff that you heard as a kid. So we have storytelling built into us as a very receptive way of learning about stuff. So therefore, when you do your business as a story, then you can really get the same impact on people. So if you're talking about, last year we had a return on investment of 50%. We made more money, 50% more money than last year. So you should be working with us. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, that's 50%. It's pretty impressive. But if it's like 7%, whatever. But if you say, let me tell you about the lady that came to work with us last year. She was a lady who just started her own business during the pandemic. She was making sandwiches, and she'd always loved to do it because she came from Czechoslovakia. So she came to Dubai, and it was her dream to be able to make sandwiches in Media City for people. So she'd set it up, and it was really challenging and really difficult because she just couldn't reach people working from home. So she came to us, and our agency was able to turn around and say, right, here's what we've got to do. We're going to make sure that you've got a delivery system. We're going to put you on some of the Deliveroo and Talabat. You can make your stuff from home, but it's an option for people to buy it because then we can tell your story. So we did some videos. We set up a TV show for her, and she was able to then show people how she cooked these sandwiches and do the food of the day. And people would love it and would order that meal of the day. And she was able to look after her kids. She's able to grow her business. She's got fans all over the world. And now she's got this whole brand, Mrs. Miggins Sandwiches, and people love it. Mm-hmm. So her business went from something that was dead in the water to something that's become a family brand. She's teaching kids now that the schools are open how to make sandwiches for their lunch, healthy sandwiches and other foods as well. And Mrs. Miggins is brilliant. I mean, she'll do a testimonial for us at any time.
You can definitely feel more attached to
Mrs. Miggins, you want to Google it, even though just made it up in front of you.
You actually want to eat a sandwich.
You want a sandwich, you love the backstory. Would you prefer to just go to a supermarket and buy a sandwich, or are you going to look for Mrs. Miggins? Even if it's more expensive, you know the heart, you know the story, you know she's got kids, you know that what she's been through. That's somebody you want to do business with. That's somebody you want to gravitate towards. And even if you don't, that story tells you, I can be okay. If she can do it, I can do it. Yeah. And so stories should be based around your signature theme. And most people don't know the signature theme. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they've done. They just see their social media version of themselves. But when you reverse engineer it right back to the beginning, you find that you've been doing the same thing all the way through your life as your go-to philosophy. Mm-hmm. And that's what your signature message should be about. Yeah. Like for me, mine's jump and grow wings on the way down. I've done that my entire life. I've made calculated risks. I've gone through it. And almost every single time I've managed to reach the other side and gone back and gone, wow. So in the early days, I was with everybody else. Now, there's hardly anybody who does what I do at the level that I do, because when I jumped, they refused to jump. Or they thought, I'm in a comfort zone. I'm fine. I'll stay here. So for me, I can talk about that as my elevator pitch for 10 seconds. That's 3 seconds. Jump and grow wings on the way down. When I add to it, I'm an international keynote speaker who creates international keynote speakers, and I teach them how to jump and grow wings on the way down. I can talk about that for 10 seconds, 30 seconds. I can talk about it for 3 hours. I can make an online course on it. I can also do a 3-day retreat of training that everybody will find success, whether it's called Unstoppable or Industry Icon. That philosophy works all the way through. And it's also easy to then share that with other people. What's Dave? Who's Dave? For instance, if we take something like Les Brown, very famous speaker, you got to be hungry. Talks about all the time, a catchphrase, you got to be hungry. And he talks about it like that. When you find what's your signature theme and you delve in it and wear it, everybody loves it and they gravitate towards you in a very short amount of time. That's how the storytelling works. Not all I went to Harvard, I graduated. Who cares? Start off with saying, what's in it for me, as in them.
Is this the biggest mistakes that leaders and brands do about the storytelling? What do they not get right about the storytelling in your experience?
Right.
You've just mentioned they're talking about probably not the same, not a boring stuff or something that relates to them only. So just to direct it a little bit.
Unless you are a celebrity, nobody cares what you did. They just don't care. If you're Justin Bieber getting interviewed, what kind of M&Ms do you like? Or I like blue. Oh, great. I like blue M&Ms, just right there. That's what people do with influencers. That's what people do with superstars. Your average person, nobody cares. Get over yourself. What's in it for them? Work out from your story what is in it for other people. Get rid of all the other stuff and just keep that thread. That thread should also have how you got there, what your offer is to the world, and why that passion that you had should be infectious enough for people to want to do business with you and talk about you and trust you. Trust is the bottom line. If they don't trust you, they won't work with you. So for instance, most people think it's about like, trust, no, like, and trust. That's what everyone says in sales. It's not. I like a lot of people, but I wouldn't trust them to go shopping. And if you don't get people to trust and buy from you, you haven't got a client. So right now, the business model is give stuff away for free, give it for free. Yeah, people will have your free, but will they then pay for that? Probably not. First of all, they've had it for free, but they're not a client or a customer until they buy. So there's two things. Liking is on a sliding scale.
Yeah.
So I can like somebody a little bit, or like somebody a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I trust any of them, because that's not what's being asked. It's about whether you like their company. But trusting is a yes or no. So, for instance, the guy who's the watchman for my place, he comes in and he fixes everything, and he's grumpy and he's always in a bad mood. I don't like him, but I trust him because he fixes stuff. Could I recommend him to somebody else? Yeah, I'd happily recommend him to somebody else, but he's a grumpy guy. Whereas I can get somebody who's really nice but never gets it done. Whenever I send them to the shops, can you get me something? Yeah, no problem. Or a really good friend, you give him $1,000. Can you look after that? I'd have to go away, come back, and there's $700 left. What happened? I'm sorry about that. I'll pay you back. I just had to do something. So like and trust are very different.
Yeah.
It's about the ability to get trust as soon as you can with that relationship. And that comes from creating incredible value with people. Your story is part of that. Because do you know what you actually sell to people? What do you sell to people? I think we've had this conversation before. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to anyway. What do you sell?
We're selling the great media products to people. I think the conversations and the marketing services, definitely.
That's a feature on benefits. What do people get? Why do people buy that? What does it give them?
It gives them the exposure. It gives them the ability to express themselves, to sell themselves. So podcast, for example, this is the conversation that allows people to put themselves into a spotlight as well, to sort of get the best versions of themselves. It's still
a feature. What's the benefit? What do they get from this? I'm giving me a hard
business.
time.
Yeah,
Thank
business.
You. Right. You get business on the back of working with us. The features of whether it's a studio and you've got great guys looking after you and the beautiful mics that's a feature. But the benefit is you work with us and we will make sure you get more business. And you're selling the certainty that don't worry about how to do it. You don't need to check our mics. You don't need to check our cameras. We do that. You just need to pay us. Pay us and we will make sure your business rocks. Now, somebody comes along and gets that from you and they say, well, what about this? Don't worry, I'll take care of it. We go, okay, take my money, done. So your job is to make sure that you create that certainty, you create that benefit, and it's so obvious and out there, and stories are great. This is a story. When you share this with people, you're going to say, right, Dave Crane works with us, and you can show the pictures and video, whatever it is, and people are going to go, oh, a bit more trust in you, a bit more trust, a bit more certainty that you can do that for me and my brand as well. And that's why you do it. So it's all part of that marketing to grow your relationship with people so they end up becoming your customers. And they won't become your customers and they won't spend anything until they trust that you will deliver. And that's what all the marketing comes into. And storytelling is part of that marketing process.
I like it. I like the way you explained it because I think it's less of a theory, more of a journey that you yourself went through. And I can feel it from the energy that you're delivering, from how you're talking about that, because trust is something that is difficult to gain, and that's a lot of efforts. And so you have to use all the tools that you have personally as a business, right, to bring your customer to yourself, right? So, and building that trust. And yeah, thanks for sharing that one. Storytelling is definitely one of the tools that helps, but it's also personal branding, which you're working on. Which is
my particular area of expertise about becoming a celebrity in your niche. But there's another thing I was going to say, that when you're a celebrity or you're an influencer or you get great results or you've got great followers, that means nothing. You can get vanity metrics on social media. Many of my clients have got millions or hundreds of thousands of followers on their social media, but they don't make $1 out of their social media. They do a daytime job that people don't know about. The key to it is how many people are following you who are spending money with you. And are you asking for that? Are you asking for the deal? I did a post the other day on LinkedIn. That post, which was a picture and a short description, turned into 6 appointments. One post.
Amazing.
And those will turn into clients.
Yeah.
So it's not done from a vanity point of view. It's not the me. It's what do they want? Who are they? What are their needs from life? Can I supply that? Can I focus on them? And so it's easy to get bums on seats and get eyeballs on your stuff. That's why people go to YouTube, take a cat being rescued from a tree by a fireman who looks really hunky and chunky, and they put it there and everyone goes, that's really nice. And then they get like millions of views for something that everybody else has used. That's easy. But does that grow a relationship with your customer? No, it doesn't. And there's a lot of value on YouTube. But for instance, a very dear friend of mine who's an author, has written lots of books, very successful book guy, he did a video, put it onto YouTube. The video followed it got watched by about 40, 50 people, and he made £100,000 out of it, because the video said, this is what I do, this is what I'm offering. If you're interested, contact me. He already had a nice following of audience who are all in the industry. They watched it. They said, yeah, can I have some? They booked him. He's coming to Dubai in 2 weeks' time. He's going to Saudi and some other places to train teams in the industry he's in, and they will pay him £100,000 easily. So those videos have to be specific to a specific audience, or you can do that thing which you're talking about, which is grow this huge monster, but there's so much competition in it. And it's so hard, and you work on it all the time. Be an expert in what you do and share that expertise of what you can do for people. Now, it's an age thing as well, because if you're a kid, fine. But the age I'm at, I don't have time to put stuff out there and see people like it and not like it. That's one of the reasons I walked away from radio, because I was just thinking, why am I putting stuff out there all the time? Why do I want to talk about a shopping centre or a supermarket sale like it matters to me? It doesn't. I don't care. Why am I talking about it? Because you're getting paid to. In that case, I don't want to do it anymore. And I walked away from radio with immediate effect after being in it for 20 years because I just had enough of that. So I think it's down to whatever you want to do. YouTube is like planting videos in your back garden that will grow and one day flourish and give you something back. Or you can say, I'm never going to have a massive YouTube channel. I'm never going to make any money from YouTube sponsorship, but I'm really good at what I do. This video is strategic. And this is what I teach my industry icon clients. Let's do a video that sells your business. And that business will give you $100,000 to $1 million worth of business, because that video, somebody who's targeted will go, yeah, let's get these guys.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. There's no doubt on different, ways digital and content can work nowadays. And it depends. That's all we're talking about B2B. That's all we're talking on LinkedIn. We're definitely using YouTube for uploading content there, but our audience basically is on LinkedIn. What are our audiences? What 1-2 steps they should take after watching this episode towards the unstoppable mindset?
Right. Okay. Well, the easiest thing that I would say to everybody if they want to know more is get onto my social. Connect with me, because all the time, every day I'm posting. So you'll get little clues. You'll work out from what I'm doing, what you can do. You don't have to become my clients. I want you just to be better at your life. And I prefer not to have millions of inquiries, because I'm very selective about who I work with, but that doesn't mean I can't give you value from what I'm doing. I've got TV shows, episodes, podcasts, everything people can get access to. The book will be brilliant, and that you need to get access to when it comes out as well. But I would suggest that what you do is just ask yourself better questions. That's the first thing to do. Don't buy into anything that anybody says, because what everybody says is right for them. It doesn't mean it's right for you. Work out what you need to get from life. And that is the heart of it. I can help. Contact me, set up a meeting if you need to, if you think that what I'm talking about is directly good for you. If not, follow my social, and you'll get enough clues all the time about motivation, inspiration, and who you need to be. And I think the first thing is to believe that you can be anything you want to be. And that sounds like a really fairy, life coachy thing. Right now, the one type of person the world needs more of is life coaches. There's a lot of damaged people out there, especially men, who have been holding the whole fort together, and they weren't allowed from their upbringing to turn around and be vulnerable. And they don't know how to deal with this new world that we're in. There's a lot of people who've been through it, they've lost people, and it's really challenging. The one answer to it, life coaches. But what's the big problem? Life coaches are rubbish at business. There's more unemployed life coaches than almost anything else out there. So life coaches need to be able to get the right way to do it. Now, the right way to do this, to make the world a better place, make people happier, is life coaches have to go to doctors and say, right, can you recommend me to people who come to you? Because the doctor business model is you come in and within 2 minutes they sell you a drug. That's how it works. Forget all the rest of it. That's what it is. You come in, yeah, what's wrong with you? Okay, scribble, scribble, scribble. Take these, and guaranteed, even if I don't know what you had, you'll be okay in a little while anyway, because I don't really know what it was. So even though we're doing what they're doing a lot of the time, but there is a huge amount of people who don't want to have just a 2-minute prescription. They need to spend quality time with somebody who's going to be there for their mental, emotional, and well-being health, and their financial health as well. That's what life coaches are brilliant at doing. So they should be there and available for everybody. And life coaches, get over yourself. Go and talk to doctors, go and talk to hospitals, go and talk to nurses. If somebody's lost somebody, you are perfect for helping them get over it. But it's just got to marry together. So there's a lot of flux in the world of things that are flying about all over the place. In a perfect world, they come together better. But we are moving in that direction. At least I hope we are moving in that direction. And as best as I can, I'm going to do what I can to make it better.
Amazing. And that was Dave Crane. So we're releasing our episode very, very soon. Stay tuned.